Revolutionary talk for revolutionary times. Promoting peace, liberty, and prosperity around the clock. LibertyTalk.fm.
Welcome to Living in the Solution with Dr. Elena George. Today we have a special show. I'm looking forward to this. I think for me as an ENT, the voice is extremely important, and it's one of the main things that got me into ENT as my specialty. And today we're going to speak with somebody who has taken the voice and it's become a way of helping people help themselves. And I'm all about that. It's not about how many medications we can write. It's not about masking the problem. I think people should learn to be their own physician, and listening to your inner voice and your external voice is something that I think people take for granted. So today we are going to speak with Kathleen Nagy, known as the Sound Lady, offers a unique approach to holistic wellness through sound energy. With over 20 years of experience as a BioAcoustic Research Associate, she specialized in voice energy analysis for sports or muscle injuries. As a classically trained musician with a background in music education and French horn from Ithaca College, and graduate work at Yale University in French horn and conducting, Kathleen combines science and intuition to provide sound-based harmonic healing. Her services at thesoundlady.com include personal chakra scale sessions, a guided meditation which vibrates your chakras with your voice to calm emotions, and how to take a sonic selfie to see how you use customized notes to balance your energy. Her journey from symphony orchestras to sound healing was propelled by her personal experience with the power of sound. Sound energy emerges as a non-invasive, side-effect-free alternative for those sensitive to pharmaceuticals. It also offers a self-healing approach through personalized frequencies gleaned from recordings of your own voice. And Ms. Nagy, first of all, I want to thank you so much for joining me, because this is going to be a wonderful conversation. People need to get to know their bodies, and they need to get to know themselves. And I love the part about not using pharmaceuticals. I'm a physician, I write prescriptions, but it's not my goal is not to have people on prescriptions forever. It's about fixing the problem. So I wanted to start the conversation at the beginning. How did you find this healing modality? How did you come to it?
Well, I studied with Sherry Edwards for years. Actually, I was on her board of directors for a while. Sherry Edwards is the inventor of human bioacoustics, so the sounds that humans make. And it was a process of recording someone's voice with a special microphone and looking at the frequencies in the voice to see which ones were out of balance with the main energy of the voice print. So in the voice print graph that you would get, you'd see some points that go up high on the graph and some points that are low on the graph, and those frequencies correspond to notes that we call stressed notes. So we put those stressed notes into our database of frequency equivalents, where basically we've got Sherry has created a map of a frequency map of the human body. And it was very, very, I did it for over 20 years, but about 10 years into it, I was seeing some of the fallbacks. I mean, it was really good at fixing physical issues. But when it came to holding that healing, if the issue didn't start as a physical issue and it started as an emotional issue or some unconscious thing that caused it, then, we could play the frequencies for the physical issues and the physical issues would get better, but then they'd come back. And I thought we really didn't get to the root of the problem. So I wanted to find a technique that would work on emotional issues, and that led me towards the chakra system of the body, which, I use the chakras. It's not your grandfather's, chakra sort of meditation stuff. If you go online and you look for a chakra scale, they all say a C major scale, and there's one note in there that isn't right. And it won't work for everyone. And what I guess what really made me a believer in sound for healing the body was when I turned 40, which was over 30 years ago. I I got diagnosed with asthma, which was just baffling to me because I'm a French horn player and I have very, very strong lungs. And I don't know where this came from. And when I took those inhalers, I got so jittery. I hated them. So I wanted to find a way to do it more organically. And my intuition just basically said to me, well, if you could hum a note that would really vibrate your lungs, you would have a chance of healing the asthma. And that just made sense to me. So I just started humming until I found a note that really made, my lungs vibrate. And I basically hummed that note for like 20 minutes a day for about a month. Well, I didn't just hum it. As a French horn player, I also added the French horn to it. So what I would do is play the note on the French horn and hum into the French horn at the same time. And it would create a big chord. And I would play that chord for 20 minutes a day. And I did that for about a month. And my asthma went away. And I didn't need my inhalers anymore. And that's what made me a believer in the power of sound.
That's incredible, but not unexpected when you think about how the body is designed and how each cell we're energy, right? And each organ, because I'm not Tai Chi, but Qigong also has energy as part of its healing modality, not sound, but it's still the same principle. Each
Yes.
organ vibrates at a certain frequency. And when you're out of alignment, I would believe that causes disease. So if you can somehow get the organ, the target organ, to go back into its natural vibrational state, that would be healing. I mean, that makes perfect sense from the universe. When you think about how everything is aligned and how everything works, it's all about energy, isn't it?
Yes, everything is energy.
And we also think about sound and color and vibration. They're just different forms of energy, right? So they all, I assume, well, I looked at your website and it seems to me that you can attach colors, can't you, to the sound?
I tried doing that initially, yes. But, well, I preferred to just use the sound. But yes, you absolutely can apply colors to sound because in the color spectrum, which is like in the trillions of hertz frequencies, right? It's up in the trillions, and sight is our eyes are the organs that can interpret those colors at those frequencies. Sound is a much lower frequency but if you divide, let's say the spectrum of the color red, if you take the kind of the median frequency in the spectrum of the color red, and you just divide it by in half and half and half, all the way down out of the trillions into the thousands, into the hundreds of hertz, then you have the frequency of the color that could be actually played as a note or sung by the human voice.
But, what's your interpretation of words, right? They're also sound. And if they're positive or versus something that's negative or something defeating or negative towards somebody, does that also align? I mean, I would think that that's the opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can cause disease by what you say. It used to be the little rhyme about sticks and stones can hurt you, but words, I forget how it goes, but words are not supposed to hurt you.
Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Correct. Now, it sounds to me that that's not true, is it?
No.
It's the opposite.
No, our mothers were not always right. Well, if you know the work of Dr. I think it's Emoto from Japan, he wrote the book the Miracles of Miracles in Water. What he did was he took a camera and he froze water and he took pictures of the water crystals. And he did experiments, like he'd fill 2 glasses with water, and on one water he would put a little piece of paper that said, "I love you." And on the other glass of water, he'd put a little piece of paper that said, "I hate you." And then he would freeze the water and he'd look at the crystals. And the crystals of the I love you water were just beautiful. And the ones with the I hate you water were malformed and grayish and ugly looking. So he proved that water had consciousness. With just with a piece of paper saying it, but you could also, he played music to a couple of glasses of water. He would play like something harmonious and with lots of symmetry, like Mozart, to one glass of water, and he'd play some like hard metal rock and roll with I hate you in the sound, and he would freeze the water and take pictures of it, and the sound of I love you, what were these beautiful, snowflake like crystals, and the hard rock and roll music was the ugly, malformed, things that didn't even look like water crystals.
When you think about this, the power of the voice to be either constructive or to be destructive, really, it's exemplifies what you just said, what he found. So we really have a lot more power, don't we, than we give ourselves credit for.
Really? Well, someone should have taught us this in the second grade. I mean, the voice it's free, it's legal, you can access it 24 hours a day, and it's the most powerful healing tool that we have. And we just were never taught that.
So is affirmations, I know that we're going to talk about chakras and tone, I think, in the next segment. But if you do positive affirmations or prayer, is that something that is analogous to saying I love you, having that
Yes.
power?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, even if you're chanting, and if you're chanting something in Hindu and you don't really know exactly what it means, but it's the way your mouth forms the vowels, and the parts of your mouth get vibrated with the chant. All of that is amplifying the intention. The intention first, and then intention carried on a sound is extremely powerful.
Wow. So it sounds to me, if you think about where society stands right now, you really shouldn't be listening to half the, no, probably none of the media, the dialogue and the energy. It's so toxic and negative. I would think that that's causing a lot of people to be ill, whether it's
Yes.
anxiety or depression or anger, which these are all emotions, I would think, that are counter to what we just described about being imbalanced and harmonic.
Yes, and it's also the rhythm of their voices. I mean, I notice when I'm listening to one of the news shows, it's just rapid, really fast, really fast, really fast. The whole thing is going really fast, and I just have to turn it off and go, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not only the words that they're using, but it's the speed and the rhythm of what they're saying that just is kind of like you're being punched.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That feeling of being off-putting, where it's just something you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel settled. It's
Yes, it's
anxiety.
disruptive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really, let's stop at that point because I think people need to digest that. We really are in a position, in a pot almost, where people are just having at it. And even if you think it doesn't affect you, it will on a cellular level, it sounds like. So let's take our first break. You're living in the solution. Welcome back to Living the Solution. We're speaking with Miss Kathleen Nagy, and she is the Sound Lady. If you go to her website, thesoundlady.com, you'll be able to see what she's written. She has a blog and learn more about the services that she offers. Before the break, I think you did a wonderful job of breaking down the importance of being mindful about what you say. And not only what you say to each other, right, but what you say to yourself. Isn't that important?
Absolutely. There are these unconscious, let's call them, personas, and these voices in our head. One voice might be saying to you, you're no good, you're worth nothing, you're stupid, you'll never you'll never become anything important, those types of voices that we just kind of tend to, push back and don't pay much attention to. But on a cellular level, they're running things because there's so much emotion attached to them. And um, learning ways to find that persona and to give it a new job, thank it for what it was there protecting you, thinking it was protecting you from, but then give it a new job, and harmonize the energy back into your body, are ways to sort of deal with that situation where we have these voices, that sometimes we hear them and sometimes we don't. They're just completely unconscious. And how do you fix something that's completely unconscious? I mean, logically, you can't. But sound can. Sound can fix it. Sound can change it. It can reharmonize it. It can release the energy and bring in more harmonious, symmetrical energy, and let your body flow energy the way it's meant to.
It sounds really awesome because it's something that's it's passive almost. You don't have to be active with it, right? I mean, people listen to music and it either puts them in a fabulous mood, they want to dance, or it makes them sad. All sorts of things emotionally get driven by the music, but it's something it just happens. You're not working on it, it just moves you. That's what it sounds like you're saying. Am I correct in interpreting it that way?
Yeah, the language of the brain is frequency. All of the frequencies that the brain is interpreting all day long are either I feel like the brain does this type of triage all day long, saying, okay, I have this list of things that I need to do, but I only got so much sleep and I only had so much nutrition and I've been under this stress, so the brain says, okay, we got to put this on the back burner because we don't have enough energy for that. But with sound, if biochemically you don't have the energy to make a change in your body that needs to be made, you can make the change with sound, with the right frequencies, with the right notes, and the brain will respond and reset.
So these frequencies, and I want to segue into chakra because you discussed that it's not your grandfather's chakras. What's the difference in what because we think about it as Eastern and very cut and dry, very I don't know, staid. Each chakra has something that it's designed to interpret, I guess interpret or be, and there's no gray area. But is that really true?
Well, when I started back in the 90s, sort of meditating on my chakras, and I did all the things that all the people told me to do, and it was so frustrating because I don't see them. I couldn't feel them, and I had no way of knowing if they really existed. Were they real? And after a while I thought to myself, these chakras are a bunch of hooey. I mean, there's no way, no one can prove to me that they exist. But then there were so many people that I respected who believed in chakras that I was trying to find another way to connect with them besides imagining them, right? So that's when I started humming, because I'm a musician and I play with sound. I've discovered so many things just playing with sound. So I just started humming, and I found that when I hummed the lowest note that was comfortable for me to hum, that my root chakra vibrated. And then it was, holy mackerel, these things are real. And I got so excited. and then I figured out, I just started humming up slowly and finding the notes that vibrated all of my chakras, all the 7 major chakras. And I figured out what the scale was. And then I started doing it with other people. And I found that everyone had the same scale, but the starting note was different. So a scale is a series of whole steps and half steps within an octave. And this people's scales was all a Lydian scale. It was, if you'll understand, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Everybody knows that. And that's a major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But the scale that our body vibrates to is a Lydian scale, which is do, re, mi, fi, sol, la, ti, do. So it's fi instead of fa. It's just a half a step different. But if you sing fa, your heart chakra doesn't vibrate. If you sing fi, it does. So I figured out everybody's got this Lydian scale, and depending on the range of your voice, you have a lower. My voice is lower than yours. I can hear it, from talking to you. So my starting note is a lower note than your root chakra note will be, but it will go up in the same progression of do, re, mi, fi, sol, la, ti, dos. I hope I haven't confused everyone.
It's the one. It's the same scale, but it's different depending on where you start, depending on who you are. Correct. So it's individual
Right.
as well. Okay.
Yes, because the good Lord made us so that we could use our voice to heal our bodies. And your voice isn't necessarily going to heal my body. Or, a C, and so it's not always a C major scale. Really, if you look online for chakra scales, you'll see a C major scale. You'll never see anything but a C major scale. And that's going to work for the people whose root chakra is the note C, which is 1/12 of the population. There are 12 different notes to the scale. So I knew there were a lot of people other than me that were having trouble, interacting with their chakras, of seeing them, imagining them, feeling them. And I thought, well, if I taught everyone what their starting note was and how to get their chakra scaled, now everyone can start to have this a whole different relationship with these chakras, because I call the chakras your like cellular emotional distribution system. I mean, these chakras take these emotional energy and interact with them in those places of the body. And if there's some old energy that's in a certain area of your body near a certain, chakra, that's causing things to be out of harmony, basically, then there's going to be illness or disease in that part of your body. And by reharmonizing with your voice, because your brain is listening to your voice all day long. I was talking about the triage. The frequencies of our voice are information for the brain about the health of the body. You can hear it in someone's voice when they have a cold. You can hear it in someone's voice when they're tired. There's a lot of really subtle things you can hear, but the brain is listening all day long, taking cues from the sound of your voice as to the energy that you have and the energy that you don't have, and what it can do and can't do with that.
So that's something that's so, for some people who, well, let me ask a different way. If you're not in tuned, or do you have to be in tuned with your body in order to be sensitive enough to understand this and use it?
Well, not necessarily, though I find of the hundreds of people that I've worked with, there are thinkers and there are feelers. The people who are feelers can get it a lot sooner than the people who are thinkers. And when I say to people, okay, let's hum a note, and I want you to tell me where you feel that vibrating in your body. And some of them are just completely flummoxed by that. No one's ever asked them to do that before. Feel the sound of your voice in your body. But when I sort of coach them into the place where they can do that, and then they all of a sudden feel their voice in their body, and all these light bulbs start to go off. It's a wonderful thing to watch.
Well, I'm sure it is. And once well, is this a practice? Like meditation is a practice. You're going to have to work that organ in order to have facility with it. Is this the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something I do every day. There are ways to, once you have had a session with me and we figured out what your scale is, I send you MP3s of your chakra scale. And I use these fabulous chimes. I have these hand chimes. It's kind of like the new age version of handbells. If you ever saw handbell choirs in a church, it's a beautiful, dark, wonderful sound. And I have from low to high. I have like 4 octaves of these. And so what I did was I recorded all the possible chakra scales with these chimes. And when we finish your session, I send you download these MP3s of your personal chakra scale that you can hum along with. And there are some people that can't hum along with it because they just were never taught how to connect their voice and their body like that when they were young. And music is one of the 7 intelligences. And when they're taking it out of school and not teaching music, we're really depriving all of these children of a powerful way to understand your body and to work with your body and to help yourself.
It's one of those things I remember when I was in grade school having music class, and it was like a release, right? You just like you went somewhere for the half an hour, 45 minutes that you were there. It's about expressing yourself too, isn't it? I mean, one of the things that I think our society really tries to tamp down is someone being expressive of who they are, what makes them them. It's now it seems it's you're supposed to just hide that. Everybody needs to be the same. I can imagine how damaging really that is not to have like sing your own song, so to speak, and be who you're supposed to be. I mean, I can't imagine not being able to do that.
Yeah, it's very empowering. One of the sessions that I would do is with folks is mantra songs. So once we figured out their chakra scale, and they tell me there's one chakra that they want to work on, or there's one issue that they want to work on, and we figure out what chakra it correlates to, and then we create. I have them come up with an affirmation that makes them feel good about that part of their body or that issue, and then we create a little melody that is in the key of that chakra, so that we're using the words and the intention, behind the words, but also the right frequencies to make the body just come back into unity and to release that old piece of cellular memory that's no longer serving you.
That's amazing. This seems so much more intuitive than it does for some people to sit and talk, where they have to do a therapy session and they have to connect with their mind and body and try to really intellectualize this. This seems so much easier because you know it makes you feel good, right? You can feel
Right?
it. It's something that's it just is. So let's take our second break because I this is just such a fascinating topic because it's so powerful, and it's that we're living in black and white when we should be living in color. So let's take our second break. You're living in the solution. Welcome back to Living Solution. We're speaking with Miss Kathleen Nagy, and before the break, you were really you just opened my mind to so many possibilities for healing. First, let's backtrack because I know what chakras are, but for our listeners, what are the chakras and where are they technically in the energetic field?
All right. So chakras are etheric energy centers, and they're invisible to the human eye, but they connect to the major endocrine glands of our body. Our root chakra is around the sacrum area. The next chakra up is the sacral chakra, and that's in the sexual area, ovaries and gonads. And then you go up. The next one is the solar plexus chakra. That chakra connects to the pancreas. And then there's the heart chakra, which connects to the thymus gland, which has everything to do with our immune system. Then there's the throat chakra, which connects to the thyroid gland. There's the third eye chakra, which is on your forehead, kind of up above in between your eyes. And then there's the crown chakra at the top of your head. So those are the major energy centers. And then there are other secondary chakras, throughout the body, but those are the major 7 chakras. And basically, like I'm working with, I'm like just found out that I'm sort of pre-diabetic. So I'm working with my solar plexus note and humming that and trying to rebalance my pancreas and give it the energy to make the right amount of insulin that it needs to make. If people, your throat chakra, your thyroid, I also had low thyroid all of my life. and I figured out the notes that I could hum that would energize my thyroid. And for years, even though I was low thyroid in all the blood tests, I wasn't on any medication because I was able to do with sound and my voice and the right frequencies what the medication, better than what the medication would have done.
Exactly.
The medication just kind of throws more thyroid stimulating hormone at the problem, thinking that you're not using it. Basically, the problem is really your cellular receptors are clogged.
It's so subtle, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's subtle
yeah.
and it's elegant, because when we do things from a healthcare perspective, we're really just using these huge, I don't know if they're well thought out, to tell you the truth. A lot of the times, you don't think about, it seems in healthcare, we don't think about treating the problem. We just try to control the symptom or
Right.
mask it, or somehow it's not working. And then you end up on another medicine to treat the side effect of the other one. And it's just taking people off their balance. And I don't think it allows them to have a internal view of what caused this. I mean, speaking of that, is there a connection between emotion and illness, in the sense that if there's an organ system that's affected, let's say you lost a child, for example, is there a connection with like a female disease, like a cancer of the ovaries, of the uterus? Is there some sort of connection between not being balanced and leading to a disease in that organ?
Certainly. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm not a doctor. You're a doctor. Um, any type of dissonance will cause disease.
Makes sense. And once you're able to, technically you should be able to go, if you go into this style of self-help and helping your patient, you should be able to figure out then from the disease state which chakra is you need to work on. Is that
Yes.
a one-to-one?
Yep. But the chakra system, it's a system. So someone might come to me and say, I really want to work on my heart chakra. And I at first I would do that. And then I learned that it's not just the heart chakra, that it's a whole system that interacts. And there are certain, like the root chakra is very connected to the throat chakra. And I found that out harmonically because I understood that the interval of the note of the root chakra and the throat chakra is something called the perfect fifth. There are five notes apart. So one might be C, the root chakra might be C, and the throat chakra might be G. And I know how important that in music theory that fifth note is to that root note. It really it fills it out, it activates it, it really supports that lower note. So I know that there was a woman who was in a car accident and her leg was paralyzed, and she was in a wheelchair, and her leg was cold all the time. And when we worked with just the root chakra, we weren't able to fix the issue. But when we added the perfect fifth to that root chakra note, instead of one note, we used two notes. That perfect fifth note correlates to the emotional layer of our auric field. And so we were balancing the emotions that were stuck in the root chakra. And she got feeling back in her leg.
Wow.
After being in a wheelchair for 2 years, and the doctor told her she would never walk again.
Well, the power of what you do is, because I'm not a musician, I love music, but I don't understand music theory, etc. So when people work with you, and you work with individuals and groups, am I correct?
Yeah, I've been in the pandemic. I had a lot more groups to work with, but once people went back to work, they didn't have time to do this anymore, and so I'm mostly working with individuals now. But I would love to get back to working with small groups of people.
Got you. And so when we work with you, we don't have to know what the fifth is or
No,
what note is. That's what
no,
you guide us through, correct?
right.
That's good.
Yeah. No, and it can be intimidating for people, especially when if you're a person who, when you were in school and you were in chorus and you couldn't match a pitch, and the choral director said to you, just mouth the words, believe you're singing, but really don't sing. And then they never sang again for the rest of their lives because they figured there was something wrong. And there was something wrong. There was a disconnect. But the chorus teacher didn't know how to help the person make the reconnect it. And that's an audiologist. I mean, that really, there's a very important connection between the voice, the ear, and the brain. So in the womb, the ear is the first organ to completely form. And the brain is growing off the ear. So there is this incredible connection between the voice, the brain, and the ear. And when one of those pieces isn't working, you have trouble hearing a sound and matching it with your voice. But you can't make a sound that you can't hear.
That's true. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
And quick question on the vibration. For those who can't hear, for example, who are deaf, like touching them like a tuning fork or something where they can feel the vibration through the skin or
Yes.
mastoid and the ear, would that also accomplish the same thing?
Yeah. If they just put their hand on the speaker, for example, where the sound that's coming out of, they can get the sound in. All of our meridians end on our fingertips to all of the energy systems of the body. So if you touch the sound with your fingertips, the sound will go into all the meridians of the body through the fingertips.
And if you can't hum it and you're not actually producing it, it still is medicinal, it sounds like, because of the
Yes.
actual stimulation of the meridian through the vibration.
Yes. Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So passively lying on your bed and humming, for example, that vibration, you can feel it in your chest, you can feel it wherever, if you really concentrate. That's the same thing then, isn't it? You
Yes.
can be anywhere and do it.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, if it's 3 a.m. and I'm up for whatever reason and I can't get back to sleep, I will hum the note of my third eye chakra, because the third eye chakra is connected to the pineal gland, which regulates the circadian rhythms of light and dark, sleep and awakeness.
And melatonin too, right?
Right, and it makes melatonin. So if I'm humming that note, telling my pineal gland to make more melatonin, in 20 minutes or so, I can fall asleep.
Geez, that's much better than taking a medication, isn't it?
Yep. I know most people will take a pill, and I don't. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to find a sound that I can use first, because I play with sound.
I mean, this is so freeing because you don't have to have a prescription. You don't have to spend money. You don't have to worry about a side effect. There's all these things that you don't